Hi, I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and we're here at FedTalks with Cameron Chehreh, Chief Technology Officer and Vice President for Dell Technologies Federal Systems at Dell Technologies. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Wyatt. Such a pleasure to connect with you today.
So first, I'd like to ask, how has federal technology played a critical role in 2020 as an unprecedented pandemic has rocked the nation?
What a great opening question, Wyatt. I think when we looked at the end of 2019, none of us expected what this calendar year had brought us. And federal technology and the innovation that the CIOs across the council, the civilian government, DoD, and even intelligence community, I think they deserve an extraordinary amount of credit. The investments in digital transformation that were happening up to this date were good. I think what we've learned and what 2020 has taught us is those investments were good, but they weren't enough, unfortunately. The early 2020, calendar year 2020, we saw this massive rise in digital infrastructure and digital infrastructure investment. And it was extraordinary due to the pandemic. But, you know, when you think of migrating millions of people literally in the matter of weeks to this remote work setting or remote work situation, just extraordinary, you know, to think of how many civil servant workers, how many workers in the DoD, not just government employees, but contract employees as well. It's unprecedented is the best word I can describe for you. And I think that the leadership deserves an immense amount of credit in that. I think it's taught us that although our efforts towards digital transformation were certainly noted and good and remarkable, we have a long way to go. But we also need to really focus post 2020 and make sure we can make it more of a reality and sustainable moving forward.
Well, that's a good segue to my next question. How can the federal government leapfrog ahead and really take advantage of that in using modern and emerging technologies like cloud and AI and automation?
It's a really good segue. I agree. Why? What we're finding is the government's conservative approach to how they migrated to cloud actually has worked in their favor. You know, we're finding in today's modern world rather rapidly that cloud is an operating model. It's not really a destination, and I'll explain that. You know, when you look at the missions of government, the multiple missions, if you look at FEMA with humanitarian and disaster relief, you look at something as simple as the post. I say simple, but it's not the Postal Service, right? The oldest constitutionally authorized agency out there. And some of the brilliant things they're doing with the next generation delivery truck. It's us recognizing now that IoT is more than just a trend. It's here to stay. It's offering extraordinary value. Light artificial intelligence and machine learning offering extraordinary value. I'll give you a great example. The Postal Service, as I mentioned, the truck, there's no other agency or entity in the United States that's authorized to drive literally almost 1 million miles a day at the low speeds they drive. Why? So think of the benefit to the civil society. They have roads where they can determine if they need maintenance so that it's not hazardous for civilians to drive on. If things are out, right, this truck is collecting this information to use in a very positive way towards society. And when you think of that, you know, traditional cloud just isn't going to cut it. So you have to be able to have portable tactical clouds. You have to be able to have edge, and edge is going to be an extraordinary compelling event. I don't think it's going to kill cloud altogether because, again, cloud's an operating model. It's modern engineering is what it comes down to. But when you want to intersect with things like IoT, 5G, and all the other current buzzwords, Wyatt, that you and I enjoy in our business, you recognize that cloud is an operating model, rise of edge, and these technologies now moving out to the tactical spaces is going to have an extraordinary and profound impact on us.
Well, I appreciate your sharing that example. Next, how is the federal government working in new and creative ways to bring talented technologists to its workforce?
That's a great question. It's the age-old question, isn't it? Why we look at there is this passionate desire to bring a new modern workforce to play. There is that we call the frozen middle, right? These technologists that are in government that have a great passion and desire to upskill and up-level their talent. And then you have the later in career people that have a desire to learn more, but they just are at a different stage, and that's quite okay. There's a lot of things the government has done recently. I think some of the changes that this current administration has made with regards to requirements, as far as college degrees and those things, so that we have a little bit more of a balanced approach to be on par with the private sector, I think is a great step forward. I also think that the government has leaned in a lot of innovative ways to partner better with industry so that there's a lot better knowledge transfer. As an example, simple things like what Suzette Kent did with Cloud Smart, right? It brought this private public partnership to a new level. It created a great, healthy, very compliant way for private industry to share more with government and also do a lot more lessons learned. We're also seeing on a lot more contracts that knowledge transfer is becoming very critical when you look at these new solutions and new capabilities. And quite frankly, why we're also seeing that, through the other compliant ways that we interface with government, whether it's, through sales motions or other things, that we're getting broader audiences for things like lunch and learns and other ways that industry can convey information in a very compliant way to government. And there's a lot of training that they're taking advantage of. I mean, there's so many planks to this discussion. What's encouraging for me is just the activity, to see that activity occurring, to see the passion from people that heard the calling of mission, right, to serve our federal government, which is a great calling, and now also the calling of technology and understanding the nice marriage between the two. It's really encouraging.
Well, finally, Cameron, you're in an exciting position and what you get to see at Dell Technologies. What other trends or priorities do you have on your radar as we head into 2021?
I alluded to this earlier. 5G for me is going to be very exciting, Wyatt, because I think it is going to help us really drive that fourth industrial revolution the way that we've all envisioned it. And it's more than just bandwidth, right? It's more than just the excitement of getting faster speeds. The software defined nature of it and now the open design nature of it, I think is going to unlock a lot of the creativity that these visionaries have, and we all have, that are building, modern software, smarter networks. It's going to help us propel, I think, artificial intelligence in an extraordinarily helpful way to mankind. I think it's going to help us do things. We just had Dell Technologies World, and we had this great example. Imagine being at your home on a very secure, safe line connected through 5G using a telemedicine application. And within minutes of your doctor prescribing, I think I need to see an MRI of you, a portable semi-autonomous vehicle pulls up to your house. That's an MRI machine. And they're collecting it in a HIPAA compliant manner. All the safety protocols are there. You step out, you do what you need to do for your doctor. The physician gets a very safe and secure upload using all of the modern technologies with encryption. And you're now getting this medicine in this semi-virtual construct. So I'm very excited about that. I'm always the optimist, as you know, Wyatt. And I think when you apply technology for good, there's so many extraordinary things we could do for mankind. It's just unbelievable.
Well, Cameron, thank you so much for stopping by here at FedTalks to kind of share your insights and some of what you see ahead on the road for federal technology opportunities. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wyatt. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.